Hi, thanks for tuning in. We appreciate you joining us to check out this video in our new video series where we tell you about optimizations and improvements that we're doing to the soft switch on a regular basis. So this is a set of sessions that is intended to take place once every month. So that we can share with you some of the changes and improvements that we're making to the software on a regular basis. Today I have with me Philip Ma, the manager of our development team. He is intimately knowledgeable when it comes to all things development for the soft switch. And today he's going to take us through some of the improvements that we've made over the last year to the soft switch. As you might be aware, my name is Fred. I am responsible for all things commercial here at Sippy Software. That includes sales, marketing, and service. So today, Philip is going to take us through a little bit of detail, and at the end of it, perhaps he'll tell us a little bit about how this project came to be. Go ahead, Philip.
Hi everyone. Thanks, Fred. I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit today about some of our CDR reports and what we've done in the last few months to sort of improve how you interact with the records that you keep about each individual call that gets placed on the soft switch. So CDR records are pretty important. They occupy the largest data set that we keep on the soft switch. So for every call that you make, um, basically a CDR is generated that keeps track of all the different metadata points uh, pertaining to that call, like start time, end time, and all the stuff that happens in between. And it fills up the system quite quickly, and we do rotate out that data on a regular basis. So the very oldest records get removed, but there's still a fair bit of data that needs to get analyzed to be able to run your business effectively. So there's a number of different factors that sort of determine the size of your data set. We have a number of customers who might use a system like Thrift, where the CDR records are written into a binary format, and then those binary files could be imported or exported out to different systems to be analyzed and parsed. But the majority of our customers will store and run their reporting directly on the soft switch itself, or perhaps they might use a standby system. In both these cases, it occupies a fair bit of space, depending on how long you want to keep these CDR records. Um, that might also affect the size of the data set. And all the data is sort of divided up into individual partitions on the disk. So instead of having one big, giant, massive volume of data, we might split it up into smaller partitions. So we have a little bit more logical divides on how much of a data set that we need to analyze at a given point in time. So these partitions we might have like 5 or 10. Some of the largest customers that we have in terms of CDR records might have 300 or 500 partitions running on their system. Now, this creates a problem when we're trying to analyze all the data that's within the CDRs. So you can imagine a haystack of all this data, and you need to go through each individual straw of hay that you have in that pile and see whether or not it looks like a specific type of hay. So the more data you have, it takes longer for you to process and analyze that data. So we've really looked at that problem and found a way to sort of optimize that process to make sorting through that haystack much faster. So traditionally, how it's been done, we would create individual views of individual partitions when we're generating a CDR report. So here's a small example where we might have 3 partitions on a given system, and we're analyzing the call tables and the CDR tables. So there are 2 separate tables in the database. where we need to create individual views of each given partition. And all that would be aggregated and combined into your resulting CDR report. What we've done now is we've basically created a one-to-one view that we could easily create that pulls all the records from the individual partitions and just analyze them one-to-one. So now we have like we take data from calls X, Y, and Z, aggregate them into one singular view, and then same thing with the CDR records from partition X, partition Y, partition Z, and create one singular view, and generate the CDR report from that. What this really means is it skips a lot of individual processes to create individual views of each of those individual partitions and makes one big view of all of the data that we need to analyze. And that translates into some tremendous improvements in how quickly we're able to process through the information. So to prove this, we set up a test where we looked at a sample database. This database set had about 35 million CDR records on the soft switch. So that's a little bit more than an entire month's worth of data kept on the system. And the database size was about 384 gigs in size. Here we broke down the reporting times needed to complete this report. And we get a look at how long it took to generate the data set for 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and 4 weeks. How many records are included in that data set, how long it took to run that report in the old system and conversely in the new system. And there's a couple of interesting points here to see in that under the new report, we could actually generate the new report of 4 weeks worth of data in faster time than it took to run 1 week of reporting data under the old system. So that's a tremendous improvement in terms of how quickly we could report the data that you're chasing after. It means your system's not isn't overtaxed as it's trying to pull this data. These queries run much quicker than they ever did before. In fact, if you were to try and pull 4 weeks of data under the old system, that might take you an entire 11 and a half hours to retrieve that data for you to analyze. So you would have to start that report the previous day, come back to it the next day, and then hope that the report was there for you to look at and make use out of. So this is a tremendous improvement in terms of how quickly we could deliver the questions that you're asking in a much more effective way. To put this quantitatively a little bit better, basically the longer your data range, the greater the improvement's going to be in terms of how this works out. So you're going to have much improved reporting, particularly if you're looking at larger data sets and a number of records. So if you're looking at 4 weeks, this is like 50 time improvement over what we used to have in the previous reporting scheme. We can also extrapolate how quickly these will return based off of the number of records. So here we had data points of upwards to like 25 million records or 23 million records. And comparatively speaking, it took a lot of seconds or a lot of time for you to run that report. But the line stays pretty small as the number of records increase over time. Now, this was such a big improvement that we've also taken the lessons learned when we did this for the customer CDRs, but we've also included these changes also into the ESR, ACD report, and customer summary report. So we now have 3 optimized reports available to our customers to make use out of that should all return their results much quicker than ever before. Now, It's important to know that this change has gone into our production version already. So if you have updated your soft switch in recent weeks, you should already have these changes available to you today. If you were an early adopter and you updated your system, or you just purchased your system right at the time of release, you might not have this change set available to you. Sippy, we regularly make version updates to the software that includes new improvements or new features or bug fixes that come long after the initial release of our software. So you can expect Sippy to be constantly rolling out new changes and new improvements out to your soft switch even after the initial point of release. So if you don't already have an existing support agreement, then you won't be able to take a full advantage of some of the changes and improvements that we make during the product's lifespan. To put this into perspective here, this graph here that I'm going to show you shows what we've been working on the development side to the Sippy 2022 release since we first launched it. Since initial launch, we've added 4 new features to the software. We've improved 15 different items. We've solved close to over 30 different problems, bugs, or regressions that we had in our software, as well as made quality of life improvements for a number of different tasks that we have running in our software. So with that, we're constantly working to improve the software. And if you don't have that support agreement in place and aren't able to schedule those updates, you don't necessarily see all these changes happen right away. So even though you might have a support agreement, but you might not have updated in some time, having that support agreement in place allows you access to some of these new features that we do put out and roll into our production code. Yeah, so I think that gives us a quick overview of what we've changed and what I wanted to touch on today. I'll throw it over to Fred for any questions he might have.
Yeah, thanks, Philip. That's very good information. One question that comes to mind immediately is what is the impetus for these report improvements? How did you come up, or how did you and the team come up with the decision to put this through? Is there a particular pecking order that these improvements take throughout your development cycle?
That's a great question, Fred. We take a lot of the things that we work on our production releases based off of changes that get suggested by our customers directly. So our customers might file a support ticket into the system, and those bubble up into the chain into our development pipeline. We get a chance to sit down, take a look at the problem, and see if there are ways to improve or fix or address the problems our customers are reporting to us about the software. So a lot of the changes or the bugs that get fixed come directly from those who file support tickets that we get a chance to take a look at and analyze and implement.
Okay, so I guess one of the other drivers behind some of the efficiencies that you create are the requests that come from customers, and the only way to make a request really is by having a valid support agreement. So yeah, again, that theme is always going to come up. That having that ability to contact the support team is even more beneficial with every passing change that we make to the software to help customers improve their bottom line. Philip, just a final question from my side. Do you have any plans for what's coming up in the next set of sessions?
Yeah, I think our next set of sessions will probably center around stir shaken. We have some we've done some work in the prior versions to put the back end side of Stir Shaken implemented into the soft switch. So even today with Sippy 2022, we could configure the database to be able to use various Stir Shaken connectors out there. You could do your own signing, but we don't have a user interface for that currently. That's currently being worked on by our development team, and should probably be the next subject of the next discussion on this session.
Okay, that sounds like a very interesting next episode. So yeah, I think that the information here is very relevant, very useful. I hope that you, the audience, get a lot out of it. We enjoyed making this first episode. We hope that you continue to join us. For now, on behalf of Philip, the development team, and the entire team here at Sippy, I thank you for watching. Again, my name is Fred, and we hope that you will watch us again for our next episode. Thanks.
Thanks, everyone.